Hello, everyone. We'll start the session in a minute. Let everybody be part of the session, and we'll start it in just a second. Hi, everyone. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us today for our first Statement of Purpose session for the year 2023. I'm Umara Daud. I am working as an education advisor at Education USA Islamabad office. We are grateful to our Fulbright alumni Ahmed Shayan today for agreeing to do this session with us. Ahmed is leading nationwide sustainability initiatives in nature-based solutions for carbon offsets, the circular economy of plastics, and the biodiversity conservation at the Angro Foundation. He brings 10 years plus of global experience in the design and implementation of sustainability programs and communication strategies for corporations and nonprofits. Over the years, Ahmed has worked in various roles in organizations in Pakistan, US, Myanmar, and Austria. Ahmed is a Fulbright scholar with a master's degree from the Eliot School of International Affairs at George Washington University. He received the Honey W. Nashman Service Award for research on Syrian refugee resettlement in Germany as part of his global capstone project. Before we start, a bit about who we are. Since 2005, Pakistan has had the world's largest Fulbright program in terms of US dollars, US funding. United States Education Foundation, USEFP, is also the Fulbright Commission in the country. USEFP promotes mutual understanding between the people of Pakistan and the people of United States through educational and cultural exchange, with offices in Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi. USEFP Programs Department administers multiple fully funded programs, including the Fulbright Scholarship. You can find information on our fully funded programs on our website, www.usefp.org. The Fulbright Scholarship is a fully funded program that includes the cost of tuition, required books, airfare, accommodation, assistance with visa, monthly stipend, and health insurance. Just wanted to highlight that this year our cycle has started from January to April 12th, 2023. Also, the GRE minimum score has been revised. The minimum score for the quantitative and verbal is 145. Please check our website and Facebook pages for information and updates regarding the Fulbright Scholarship. In addition to the program department, USEFP also has an advising department. USEFP is committed to merit-based selection of Fulbright program as well as to all aspects of diversity. Our outstanding and accomplished candidates come from all provinces and regions of the country, including the underserved areas. About half of our selection comprises women. The Fulbright Scholarship Program encourages and supports applicants with disabilities. Before I hand over the session to Ahmed, please remember to share your questions in Q&A box. Ahmed will look at your question and choose to answer either as they come or at the end of the session. Please don't write them in the chat box, as we will reserve it for any resources or information that has to be shared during the session. Over to you, Ahmed.
Thank you, Umara, and welcome everyone to the session. So what I will do is I'm just going to quickly share the screen, and we can start with our discussion on Statement of Purpose. Is my screen visible, Umara?
Yes, Ahmed, it's visible.
Oh, great. So I think, first of all, I'll just like to mention that just this picture should give you an idea, because I very deliberately chose the picture, is that a statement of purpose, or whenever you're writing to an admissions team in a university, it's not a one-off, one version, one draft exercise. You need to be very mindful, and you need to be very clear that it is an ongoing learning process. and you will be making changes, and you might be changing how you view yourself, your program. So selections might change. So I would just say keep an open mind when you start on this exercise, and please don't wait until the last moment to begin, because this is a strong statement of purpose, is always well thought out and well researched. So this is a brief overview of what we will be discussing. I'll introduce myself briefly because Amar did a wonderful job already. I'll just touch upon that. I'll share a bit about what a statement of purpose actually is, and what should a strong personal statement or a statement of personal purpose look like, what things to avoid in a statement of purpose. We will look at some prompts also, just to understand the questions and what is being asked, and how do you know what are the next steps you can take if you're beginning to write a statement of purpose. So as Amara already mentioned, I'm at the Engro Foundation, which is a corporate foundation at the Engro Corporation Group. We are based out of Karachi, but we have manufacturing and plant sites in different parts of the country, including Port Qasim in Karachi. We have an energy production facility in Tharparkar. We are in Dharki, Kotki district. We also have a rice processing plant in Murid near Lahore. So we are primarily based out of Sindh and Punjab, but our customer bases and our consumers are all over the country. I was selected for the Fulbright Scholarship for the 2016 to 2018 cycle. I pursued an MA in Global Communication at the Elliott School of International Affairs. And well, these were exciting times, politically, socially, and it was a great experience. So jumping into what is a statement of purpose, you need to be very clear that a statement of purpose is being written for admissions panel or selections committee. So you need to know your audience, and what you need to include in these are how exactly your experiences, personal experiences, professional experiences, how have they shaped you as a person today, and how are they tying to your future aspirations. And a huge part of that is the program that you're selecting or going for, and that needs to kind of be shown as what is the value add of that program in your future aspirations. So the narrative needs to be really strong, and you need to be very clear on how what you have achieved so far has relevance in the program you're applying for, and how is that program going to help you achieve your future goals. So we will look at some prompts because statement of purpose is interpreted differently at every university. And what you do is you need to be very clear on what the university is asking. So I just gathered 3 different prompts for statement of purpose, and you will see how each university has a very different approach to it. So, you will be doing a lot of the work on understanding your background, your career aspirations, but you will also make sure that it's not just one size fits all. Every university will have a different outlook or things that they would want to get out of it. So just make sure that you are reading the prompt very carefully and you're asking and addressing everything. So quickly, if you look at from my own school that I went to, it's a 500-word statement of purpose. It is about describing your academic and research interest, your career objectives, how is the program going to help you achieve those goals, and what are you going to add to the program. And that, I think, is one thing a lot of people do not address in their statements, is that they will have a pretty good story and they will have a pretty good idea of what they want to do and how the program is going to help them. They almost, in a lot of cases, they're not able to convey why they're a good fit for the program. So a lot of these programs are looking for diversity, they're looking for leaders, and you need to show that whatever you're bringing to that program is also going to enhance the campus experience, the student experience, the class experience of that university also. So just always keep that in mind. So if you look at the Elliott one, they have one very standard statement of purpose, but they've also given you an alternate in saying, okay, if you're not interested in giving us a very standard statement of purpose. You can also just tell us an issue of international importance, how you will address it in your professional career, and how the program helps. So now you see they're looking at the same thing with two very different angles, but they're also going to get the same kind of information that they want from you, is that how much are you aware of the program you want to study? What kind of career aspirations do you have, and how and why do you consider an issue important? And when you start writing about that, oh, I want to write about XYZ conflict in this, and I think this is how it should be solved, they will understand your personal story with it, and they will also understand how you're approaching it. So that was, I thought, an interesting take on the statement of purpose. When you move to the Georgetown one, they also have a 500-word statement of purpose. And then they've also mentioned how some programs will have more additional documentation. But here also you would see they're saying background, interests, and be very clear and concise, express your interest in the program and what you hope to gain from or bring to the program of study. And then they are also saying that whatever effective contributions to the program, you can showcase your knowledge and interest in your chosen area of study. So very similar in terms of what is your personal narrative, how that ties into the program that you want to study, and how will you take the learnings from the program into your future aspirations or career goals. And all three components need to be very clearly understood in your mind. And then there's a very different kind of a prompt by the Harvard MBA program, and they're saying, just give us one, they've just given a one-liner prompt. What more would you like us to know as you consider your candidacy for the Harvard Business School MBA program? So this is very kind of overarching, very generic, but they are also expecting you to write things that you haven't already mentioned in your resume, that you haven't already mentioned in your documentation, something that is going to tell them why you are a good candidate for the program. So are there any questions so far? Let me just take a look. I can't see. Okay, so there are around 8 questions. So some of these questions I will let the Fulbright USEFP team answer. They're about attestation of documentation, and the rest I will address towards the end. So I'll move quickly to what should a strong statement of purpose include. So you need to realize that in any selection, you will be one of many who will be writing a very similar, who will be addressing the same prompt of the statement of purpose. And what your job is to identify things that make you unique, that contribute to your story, and how you're going to kind of break down this entire chain into what have you already done so far, what program are you selecting, and what are you hoping to gain from it, and how is your background and your study going to further help you in your career goals that you identified. So having a very strong narrative is very important. Always include relevant academic and professional background in it, whatever you've achieved. Achievements show leadership, achievements show competency and capabilities. So academic achievements, professional achievements, if they're relevant to your overarching story, please include them. Leadership potential is very important. I think a lot of universities really, want potential leaders into their programs, and they want to see how you have shown leadership in your, prior experience or during your studies. So that's important. Then obviously sharing why you're a strong candidate for the program, because a lot of these admissions are very competitive. Fulbright itself is also a very competitive program. So you need to highlight how you can be a strong candidate for whatever the program you're applying for. You also need to do a lot of research on the specific programs that the universities are offering that you're interested in. And so I'll repeat the point I mentioned earlier. You cannot have a one-size-fits-all statement of purpose. You will be curating. You could maybe write one generic one, but you will be curating it based on the universities or the programs you're applying for. One very important thing that you can do during this time is to kind of do like a research on the programs and the professors that are offering courses or teaching at these universities. Familiarize yourself with their work, with their publications, with what their areas of focus are, and find the ones that tie in with your career goals. So let's say you're applying for a program in international affairs and you are really interested in conflict in the Middle East. There must be someone at that school that is focusing on this area, and you can then maybe say, oh, and then you read that person's work, and you can always mention that Professor XYZ at your school has done written about this, and I'm really interested in learning more about and learning from him, understanding what his perspectives are, and being his student or taking his classes is going to be really helpful in helping me develop a career or learn about careers in the space. So learning about the professors, learning about their works, they are that's a very important thing that you should keep in mind. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, your career goals need to be very clearly understood in your own head, and then you need to bring it out on paper and kind of really work towards making a cohesive, concise document. So there are three specific things that all admission committees might be looking for. And obviously this may change from campus to campus, but these are very overarching kind of areas that they will be looking for when they're reading a statement of purpose. The first one is obviously effective written communication. A lot of the other application is about your standardized tests or your grades back in school or your work experience. This is like a first-hand sample of your written communication potential. So that is being evaluated. The second one is how much you're aware of the program. Are you just ticking a box? Did you just quickly go do a search and then write a statement of purpose based on not a lot of research, or have you spent time with this area? Do you know about it? Have you worked in the space? And that's why you have a fair sense of what the program is, what you're trying to achieve from it, and that shows through that statement of purpose. And the third one is the career plan, and this is something that they really focus on, because they want to see, do you have a plan after graduating? Are you going to utilize this degree or this program in a way where you could be a potential professional, a leader in any space that you're going for, and what value add this program is going to have in your career plan. So be very careful in understanding these and trying to very concisely communicate these in your statement of purpose. So there are 2-3 things that you should avoid when you're writing a statement of purpose. I think a lot of times people feel that if they use big words, difficult words, very technical terms, that is going to show that they know about the program or the topic or the theme. And that is not true. You need to keep your writing simple. You need to have easily, language that is easily followed, and the structure of the statement of purpose needs to follow in terms of there needs to be some structure to the whole thing. So I would say avoid jargon, have a lot of examples. So, when it comes to leadership, you can talk about, okay, I was put in this project and I managed these many people. And through that experience, I feel that I would excel in a field which is related to the program that I'm going for. So it's always good to make it very personal, make it something that you have experienced yourself, and also having a very realistic expectation of what you want to do with the degree. So if you show something that is so ambitious that it feels like, okay, this is something that may not be achievable, that would just show that you haven't done the research. That would show that you don't understand the challenges or obstacles or shortcomings of what you want to do, and then you've just written it because you felt like you wanted to write it. So I think being realistic in what you want to achieve is very important, and that shows that you've done the research and you've spent time in the specific area to know about it. And then the third one is obviously just listing things down. That is never a strong or interesting statement of purpose. You need to have a very clear narrative of who you are as a person. What have you achieved and experienced so far, thus far? How is that going to help you in being a strong candidate for the program? How the program is going to help you? And how will that eventually help you achieve your career goals? So I think if you keep these things in mind, you would have a strong and effective statement of purpose. So I think some of these points I've mentioned already, but be very clear of what you want. I'll go back to the first picture I showed you. It was like this person that had like crumpled papers. So they were like on like fourth or fifth draft of writing something. You will be learning a lot. I remember when I started writing my statement of purpose, it was so much information overload because you're researching all these universities. You're also understanding a lot about the area. You're trying to figure out, okay, what makes sense in terms of a narrative. So you're learning a lot, you're reading a lot. So be open to that. Be open to learning, but be also open to unlearning. Maybe you thought, okay, you know what? If I get a degree in this and have a career in this, that is going to be such a strong case for me, and I'm really interested in it. But as you read and as you understand yourself more and as you write more, you might realize, you know what, maybe a career in that is not a great fit for this particular program. Okay, so if I'm really committed to this career, maybe this is not the program I need to be studying. A lot of people, what they do is they focus on the Ivy Leagues of the world, and they have this like obsession in getting into Ivy Leagues. Like, and I think sometimes they're probably not an ideal program or campus for you because they don't excel in the programs that you're looking for. So expand your horizons a bit, find out which programs are the ones you are interested in based on the career you want to pursue. University names helps, but I can assure you the US has, I don't know, more than 4,000 campuses, colleges, and they all have varying degrees of expertise and strengths in different areas. So an Ivy League may not be the best solution for you. So keep an open mind and research universities that are excelling in the space that you want to work in, and learn and unlearn. Be willing to kind of let go of things that don't fit the larger narrative that you're trying to communicate. Then again, look up professors. Look up professors in your selected universities, and learn about what they're doing, what they are passionate about. Read up on their work. When you cite the work that they have done in your statement of purpose, they know that you're really interested, you're motivated, you've done your homework, and you're not just writing it as just an exercise. You actually mean it, and you're interested in joining the campus or university. Have a very strong post-career study plan in mind. That is very important when these statements are being evaluated. So if you have everything else and you don't have a career plan, it seems like a dead end. It seems like you don't know what you're going to do with that degree. So yes, sit with it, plan it out, keep on updating this plan. Okay, how do I want to how does this degree help me in this career? Maybe after a month of going through it, reading, writing, you might feel that okay, this is not the best plan. Maybe I'll change the university and look for a program that is better suited to my needs, or maybe I should have a career that is maybe coming through most of these programs. And yeah, keep an open mind. It is a stressful time for sure. There's a lot of anxiety when one embarks on this journey of application processes. There are a lot of hoops to kind of jump over. So I would just highly recommend to take your time, and keep on doing a bit every day. and don't leave it until the end. I mean, these statements are they have a lot of weightage in your selection process. And when you have when you're reviewing 20, 30, hundreds of applications, you know which candidate has worked on it and which candidate kind of did not put in the hour or the understanding that needs to go into an effective statement of purpose. So this was a brief presentation and conversation. Omara, so this was the end of my presentation. Maybe we can go towards the questions now. So Ali Meeson has asked, what is the difference between a personal essay and a statement of purpose? So this is a tricky part. A lot of universities want separate essays. A personal essay generally is a very personal story that shows who you are as a person, what your motivations are, and what you want to do. And sometimes sometimes it's just a very personal, and then there's one that is a study objective or a work objective, which is very technical, that you have to kind of show how your background ties into the program and the career plan. So this is generally what I have done the research and the presentation on. Generally, a statement of purpose, personal statement, it might be used interchangeably also. That's why we go back to the point of very, very carefully reading what the prompt is. You will need to literally, if it's a 4-line prompt, you will have to literally break down each line and see what exactly the prompt is asking you to do. Even within statement of purpose, as we saw from 3 different examples, universities require different things. So please do a lot of understand that the prompt is what you need to be addressing. They might be calling it a statement of purpose, but what's written under that is what is being really asked. So just deconstruct the prompt and address the prompt. How do you craft a personal narrative story in the SOP that reflects your experience and career aspirations well? Do you have any tips on how we can coherently demonstrate that clarity of thought? So what you will need to do, and this is a good question, is how do you make your personal story tie into your aspirations and all? But we always have things that we have done that contributes to our story. And the reason why you're selecting a program is because you have either, if you're applying for a graduate program especially, you have done the undergrad, you have probably have a couple of years of experience in most cases, and now you're set upon an idea of pursuing graduate study. So there is a lot to write about you, from your schooling, early life to schooling, to undergrad, to your professional experience, if you have any. There must be something that is tying you to this program. And that program is tying in some way to the career plan that you plan to pursue. So I would highly recommend that if you are pursuing a graduate program, make sure that it's relevant to things you've already done. Sometimes you can have a very different idea. You might think, okay, I've done this doesn't work for me, so I need to do something completely different. I think that's generally a riskier strategy, because everybody looks at, why should you be part of this cohort? Why should you be part of this program? And you need to demonstrate some kind of experience, expertise, knowledge of that area. So I would highly recommend that if you feel that you're struggling to craft a story in the statement of purpose that is just not making any sense, I would say go back to the drawing board and find out what makes you unique, what motivates you, what are you passionate about, and what have you done and what have you achieved, and then pursue your master's program or PhD program that you're going for. If you have 3 top choices and each program has a different word count for SOP, should you focus on the SOP guidelines of choice? Number 1 only, and thus will have a word count for master's SOP. I think there is a word limit. Yes, you should focus. If you have 3 choices and they all have different word limits, you should address all those. You should be editing your statement of purpose accordingly. So I would recommend maybe write the highest one. Like, let's say you have top three choices. One is 250, one is 500, one is 700, let's say. You write the 700 one, or and then you kind of bring it down to 500, 250, and then you will also, you might be eliminating a few things, and that would be very, so you do understand what that university is looking for, and then eliminate the things that are the least relevant to that university. So that's why I keep on saying, go see the prompt, deconstruct the prompt, and then you kind of work your way through the SOP. So work experiences and career fit better in objective statement or statement of purpose. So I would just say to that, the labels can be a bit confusing. So a personal statement and study objective. In Fulbright specifically, these are the two kind of essays that you write. But for universities, you're writing a statement of purpose, which is a lot of times it's a combination of both. So if you're pursuing specifically Fulbright, your work experiences and your career aspirations are going to be part of the study objective essay, but it's not like it will be completely absent from your personal statement. Your personal statement at the end of the day is showing who you are as and what motivates you in life, what drives you in life, and what are you going to do about that. So career aspirations and will feature in your personal statement as well. I want to run a trust in my future. Would it be a good reason to include in my future plans? Yes, whatever your future plans are, if they are relevant and they're strongly linked to what you've already done, what you're planning to pursue in your master's degree, graduate study, PhD, and then you're linking it, anything would make sense if that strong narrative is present. So that shouldn't be a problem. Where can we find recording of the session? I think Omar can address that. Is motivation letter different to a personal statement? Do we need to submit both? So I would still go back to go do the research on what the universities want and deconstruct the prompt. All of these sometimes are used interchangeably. Sometimes there are different things asking for different things. All of that is always mentioned in the prompt. So stick to the prompt. Don't worry about these headings and titles. I've been a private graduate. Do you think, is there any room for me to establish myself as a strong candidate for masters? I don't think there is an issue with that. I don't know, like in terms of eligibility, I think the USEFP team might be able to answer that better. But generally, I think it's always about what story you have, what you're bringing to the table. And as long as it's HAC certified, I think that's not a problem. But in terms of eligibility, I would let USEFP answer this particular question. What we write in the statement of purpose, for example, volunteer experience, leadership experience, do we need to provide certificate proof of this along with our application? So generally, certificates are not required. As part of your overall application, universities do allow you to add additional documentation, as it's not required in the statement of purpose. If you're saying, oh, I ran or I headed, let's say in my university days, I headed an organization for Model UN, for instance, I was the Secretary General for the Model UN in my university. So they won't say, oh, you need to prove it. But if there is an option of submitting additional documentation, there's no limit. If you're putting it there, I think that's always a good thing. It's not going to go against you, it will go in your favor. So sometimes just providing additional documentation that is not specifically asked for, but you mentioned it somewhere in your essays or in your application, if you provide that, I think that just makes your case stronger. So do that, but it's not a requirement. Please share some information about.
So Emma, just to answer the question that you read before, Rabia Bhatt. Your university is accredited by HEC, and you have a transcript and a degree. I don't see any reason for you not to be able to apply for a master's degree or a PhD degree anywhere in the world. But the university has to be accredited through HEC.
I think this particular, and I don't want to again go back and forth, but she's a private graduate, so she maybe just sat for exams and did not go to a university per se.
So I think whichever university, for example, if it's Punjab University that held that examination, or if it's Quaid-e-Azam University, that is the parent organization or institution that is giving the degree, then it's definitely the parent organization, whoever it is, has to be accredited through HEC.
Oh. So Rabia, I hope that answers your question. Do we have to write multiple statements of purpose while applying to more than one universities? Yes. So this, I think USEFP can answer. In my experience, I submitted one for the Fulbright application, and then they kind of applied on our behalf. But I don't know, like, so the students will be providing just the Fulbright application, right? They're not writing directly to the universities.
So yes, totally. You have to submit one statement of purpose and another essay of your motivation to apply to a certain program, and then the Fulbright Commission will be placing you into different universities. You will not be writing different SOPs for different universities.
I live in Qatar. How do I apply for Fulbright? I think I don't want to answer that one. I don't know. Do you have to be a resident of Pakistan to apply, Kumar?
Yes, absolutely. You have to be the resident. You have to be a Pakistani citizen to be able to apply for Fulbright scholarship.
Okay. What are the typical mistakes that we should avoid? So I touched upon them. Basically, I think if you have if you've done the research, you know how your experiences tie into the program and your future career aspirations, you're good. Do not, and which I mentioned also, do not write one and apply to multiple different universities. So just do it in a way where it is one cohesive document and you're addressing the prompts that are being given.
Ahmed, I would add here, sorry, this question is about being about residency. You also have to be residing in Pakistan to be able to be through the process of Fulbright to be able to apply for the Fulbright scholarship. Sorry, I thought it was about citizenship.
So any tip for personal statement or statement of purpose when you're targeting any specific but applying for scholarships like the Fulbright? Yes, so even when you're writing for Fulbright, you need to have the same structures, the same things included. You might want to skip the part about specific professors at a university, but you would always want to, even within Fulbright, you are asked for your preference. You can always talk about professors in your first choice or your second choice and say why you want to study at that university per se. But yeah, the structure is not going to change. So how long should this SOP ideally be in terms of word limit? Just stick to the word limit. That is how long it needs to be. Don't also, if you think you have made your case in 500 words and the limit is 700, for instance, don't add things that will not contribute to your story. But generally, I think statement of purpose word limits are not very long. So as long as you're sticking to the word limit, that's fine. I've done my bachelor's in finance, but want to do a tech MBA or entrepreneurship. I believe I can make a compelling case since I am working in it for a tech company, but how hard do I need to justify my case? So it really depends on if you've done your bachelor's in finance and you have relevant experience in a tech company, then you have a strong case of making a case for a tech MBA. Generally, I don't know. So what you need to do is you just need to make sure that you highlight your achievements during your undergrad and your work. And I think that would be a strong case. The thing is, just because you have relevant experience doesn't mean you're a strong candidate. So you would still need to highlight that through examples of leadership, examples of how you maybe led a project at your tech company that you work at. What have you learned? What would you like to learn more? What skills are you lacking today that you would really like to get, and how does the program help you get those skills? I think that is what you would need to be highlighting. So yours could be a lot more future looking also. Irfan saying, I didn't get any answers to my questions. I don't know which your questions were. I can just scroll up. Where can we find the recording of this session? So I think maybe Omara, you can address that.
Yes, I think there are too many questions about that. So the recording of the session will be on the USEFP YouTube channel, and the link for this session would be shared on the USEFP Facebook. Definitely as soon as possible, we will share the link on the Facebook, and you can access the recording on the YouTube channel.
Afan Nadeem, this is my dream university or dream place to study. Do it if it actually is your dream. If you don't mean it, don't do it. I think a lot of, you can always talk about why a particular campus or university makes, you want to work on and why you want to study there. But I think keeping it generic is, and just focusing on yourself and maybe if there are certain like professors at the university that you want to study with, I think that's fine. But have some substance to this claim. Don't just say it without backing it up with something. Is it necessary to write about research work because I worked on a project in my last semester? If you worked on a project, then you worked on a project, you talk about the project. Research work is not something that everybody will be will have as their experience, and not everybody will be pursuing. So you find programs that do not require research work in your past experience. But I mean, if you did a project, highlight that. That's not an issue. There's something about minimum marks. I'm going to skip that for GRE. Highlighting leadership potential. Is it essential that you list a job review super? No. So the question is, for highlighting leadership potential, is it essential that you list a job where you supervise people? That's not true. You can talk about leading a student body during your school days and how that helps you shape as a person today and how that's relevant to the program. Also, you can talk about leading a group at your a smaller project in your current job role that required you to lead the project. Maybe you can do that also. Just supervising people at work is not leadership. There are plenty of other ways you can highlight leadership. I think the top choices are there's a certain number of preferred universities that you have to fill out for Fulbright. So I would say keep that in mind. I would say avoid dropping a lot of university names in the statement of purpose for the Fulbright application, because you need to kind of be applying for so that is already kind of considered in Fulbright. So you stick to the preferred universities and you should be fine.
So I will also add here that you should not be specifying any universities in the Fulbright SOP, because once you are selected, we do give you an option to give us a list of 3 top choices that you would like to, the 3 universities you would be wanted to be part of. But there's no guarantee that you will get in. It's the Fulbright Commission who will place you, and if it's a possibility that they can place you in that university, that would be great, but there's no guarantee. But you can definitely, you are given a chance to highlight which top 3 choices you have once you are selected.
So audience of Fulbright will be USEFP. Do I need to explain why I'm a potential candidate for scholarship, or do I need to explain myself as a potential candidate for chosen university? So you will be writing for the Fulbright selection panel. So for that, you will need to show why you are a strong candidate for the Fulbright scholarship program. And here you would also like to and I think leadership here is going to become very crucial. How you can be a good ambassador for the Fulbright program, ambassador for Pakistan in the US. So showing that you're open to different cultures and you're interested in learning more, I think that's going to help. So you mentioned to cite professor work. Is it necessary that you're able to make a contact with the professor first? I've been writing to the professor, but no effect. Can you please give a few tips? Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to write to the professors. You can, that if you can do that, that's great. But generally, when you're writing, you can just research all the work that they've already done, and you can mention that. But there's no like hard and fast rule that you have to be in touch with the professor. That's not required. What is meant by background statement and goals, please? So I don't know if you're Iran, if you're referring to my slides. Background statement and goals. I'm sorry, I did not understand this question. So I'll move to the next one. I'm basically applying for PhD chemistry. May I state what are my goals for women empowerment and youth empowerment? So I would, if you're applying for a PhD in chemistry, goals of women empowerment and youth empowerment, you'll have to see how they connect. I think if your chemistry degree is going to lead to women empowerment and youth empowerment, then you need to have that link in your mind, because if your area of study is not linked to your career aspirations, then there is a disconnect, and that would that would be highlighted. So I think what you want to do as a career should have relevance to what you plan to pursue in terms of studies.
Oh, can I just say one more thing? Please do not raise your hands. Write your questions in the Q&A box. We can only answer your questions once you write them in the Q&A box. Thank you.
Isn't it better to mention the program and cite the professor work in the university preference or research objective part of the application? Yes. So for every application, you need to be sure that you're addressing the prompt. So if there's a research objective prompt, you should mention it over there. Or also your preferred universities, you can mention the professors over there. What do you think is the catchiest and strongest start of a personal statement? I think if there is a story that can build interest, and an instance in your life where you kind of understood something very profound and that helped you study, pursue work in the chosen field, I think that would be great. So have a strong story. I think that is a good start, but honestly, it's not always, everyone cannot start a strong statement of purpose or study objective with the story. So don't worry if you don't have it. So I would say I've read a lot of statement of purposes which are strong in the story. I've read a lot of them which do not have a story. So if you have a good story and it makes sense, if it fits, go with that. If you don't, don't worry about it. Start without a story also. What's the difference between cover letter, personal statement, statement of purpose, motivation letter? So all of these depend on what they're asking you to do. A lot of universities use it interchangeably. For Fulbright, I think there are 2 separate essays. So please read the prompt that is written under them and then address those. You can, no need to mention universities, especially just work on the program and why you're fit for the program. Especially if it's Fulbright, you should be fine. The prompts for personal statement and study objectives in the genre has sort of an overlap, specifically related to academic and professional experience. How do we make both essays distinct and avoid repetition? Yeah, so there is an overlap because they're both trying to gauge a certain background and experience or understanding from you. The personal statement is always a lot more individual in terms of your story, your experiences, who you are as a person, how are you going to be a good part of the Fulbright program, all of those things. Study objectives are a bit more technical. Where you will be highlighting more of your professional academic records, and then also like the whole career angle into it. So they're looking for different things, but yes, your education and your professional experience is going to feature in both of them. Is it important to have correct pronunciation and SOP? I would say yes. I mean, it needs to have a strong, like the grammar needs to be right. Sometimes, it's not, if it's not very properly written, it's not always that it will be negatively kind of taken into. But yes, it needs to have proper grammar and it needs to have proper punctuations. So that would be the ideal way to go about it. How to write a concluding paragraph in personal statement. I think everyone's story is going to be different, so the ending may be different for everyone. But I think a good concluding paragraph needs to be future looking. So your plans, your career plans, how that career plans tie in with your program, and then maybe the conclusion can be how the program really helps you achieve those and what you want to do 5 years, 10 years down the line. So I think ending to these statements, if it's future looking, it's always good. Can't be asked on call. No, it's type your questions in the Q&A box. Can you expand on how you narrated your leadership roles? Yes, so I wrote about 2 to 3 things. One of them was my involvement as a volunteer in an international interfaith group. I was helping organize conferences in Vienna, Berlin. I did that for 3 years as a volunteer, and I was managing a team of around 8 to 10 people, and I was managing communications for that organization. I wrote about that. I wrote about my experiences organizing an international conference in a foreign country and how that impacted me as a person, developed my leadership skills, and that was a direct tie into the program I wanted to study, which was the Global Communication Program at the George Washington University. So, and in George Washington, the Elliott School of International Affairs is also like a very international school. Like a lot of our student body is very diverse. So having that kind of experience helped with with the application. So find things that are going to help you, stand out and highlight your leadership. How long should be SOP? Stick to the word limit. I'm sure there's a word limit provided. What if I want to switch my research path? Will USEFP consider if I explain why I'm going to change? You can try, but generally a very strong application is where you can show demonstration. If you have a very good reason of changing your research, and you have some experience in it, then that could work. But if it's completely a blank slate, I would advise against it. Can we add references in SOP? Can we mention our previous research is related to my, yes, you can mention your previous research when you're writing the statement of purpose. How can one cover his academic lacking in SOP? If you feel that your grades are not super top notch, focus on your experiences outside of the classroom. Were you part of some volunteer organization? Were you part of some community-based initiative? Were you excelling in your workplace? So grades are important, but they're not the only thing. So highlight your other strengths. Spend a lot of time in masters and in professional experience. How would I make my statement of purpose strong for a PhD application? So I think if you do not have a professional experience, but you have, so it really depends on what you were learning or pursuing in your master's degree. So I cannot answer it just based on this, but what I would say is that in lieu of professional experience, if you don't have professional experience, highlight your achievements during your master's program. Then you definitely worked on numerous projects. You definitely worked on a lot of research projects. Highlight those. Were you doing some community service, or were you doing some volunteering services that link to your career goals? Do that. That is always helpful.
Maybe one more question, Emmett, and then we will close the session.
Sure.
There are 87 questions, which is amazing, but I'm sure you're not able to answer all those questions at the time.
Sure. So I'm just going to quickly address one more question. If I don't have, okay, if I don't have experience in the field I'm applying for, how to cover that part? I think there was a similar question that I just answered. If you do not have work experience in the field that you're applying for, but you have relevant academic, expertise, or you've studied that field in your undergrad, highlight that. There were group projects that you must have done. There must have been research or thesis that you wrote. Highlight that. And if you were doing anything that was extracurricular, that's related to your field of study, to highlight that experience also. So I think that should be okay. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's it from my side. I hope this was helpful. And best of luck to all of you.
Thank you so much, Emmett. This was a very, very interesting and well-attended session. We had right now 87 questions and more to come, but we can only answer a few. Thank you for your participation and thank you for joining this session today. I will again say that the recording of this session will be shared on the USEFP YouTube channel, and the link will be shared on the Facebook. Please do look out for the recording. Please do follow us on our social media pages for our updated information about our events and our sessions. Thank you so much for your participation today, and we hope that you have a good rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.